Hey guys, it's Suzy, and in tonight's video, I'm so happy to let you in on about half of a session I presented in Seattle on February 26th. So I hope you enjoy. I hope it gives you some great tips for your K through 2 students who are using Canvas, or if you're using a totally different learning management system, or if you just need to simplify even for your older ones. I think you're going to love it. Stay tuned. As a 16-year public educator, I know what it's like to be in the trenches. I know the frustration, the overwhelm, the discouragement, and the hard work. I also know the successes. The mission of my blog is simple: to help you find your more. More time, more from technology, more student engagement, and more hope.
I want to start by saying that Canvas can be and should be a one-stop shop for your students' resources. What happens if your little bitty children are asked to go to a website anywhere besides where they started? Can you just shout out some problems that happen when that occurs? Go ahead. You tell your children, okay guys, I want you to go type in this website or click this link. What happens? They don't, okay? I don't know what they click. I walked around the whole, they're so sweet and precious and I love them. They were first graders, okay? Pretend that there's a U here. I walked around every U, and Tony, I'm gonna touch your hand up, don't be offended. I put my hand on top of their hand. I showed them where to click. Okay, you stay there. Then I go to the whole, I practiced my voice. I was so sweet. I get around the whole room. I get back to Tony, and I'm like, what? Somewhere else. I'm like, Tony. Okay. And the exorcism almost has to happen, okay? So what if we had a place where kids could just go there and get to all their stuff? Woo! Okay, that's my goal for you today. It can be a one-stop shop if we make it that way, okay? So we want to limit their options. So I'm going to talk Canvas for a minute, but I'm certain that this applies to other learning management systems. If you would like to help me investigate, you can pull yours up later, and we'll look at what yours looks at. But I want you to look at this sidebar that comes built into Canvas. Let's just take that in for a minute, okay? Home, assignment, discussion, grade, people, pages, files, syllabus, blah, 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 okay? I don't know about your parents even. You can send your parents. You could say, go to my website and find that. What's the question you get back? I don't know where to find it. Okay, they're exactly like whatever age child they have usually. So I need the students and the parents not to be overwhelmed. So if you are in Canvas, I'm going to give you the quick trick for turning off all the daggone buttons. Okay, that's probably also a Southern term, all the overwhelming buttons, okay? So if you will go into, and I'm going to try to do this without getting out of my page, which is a regular challenge here. Do you know the trick where if you hold down control, when you click on a link, it opens in a new tab? Did you know that? If you didn't, that's life-changing. Because you see, right now, if I'd clicked in settings without holding the control key, it would have gone somewhere different. So I have now what I meant to go to in a new tab. If you go into settings and you go to the word, whoop, then you go nowhere. If you go to the settings and you go to the third tab, which is navigation, you can just I like to start at the bottom because it's easier to drag. See where it says drag items here to hide them from students? It's that easy. I'm not using collaborations. We don't take attendance here. They don't need to have a conference. You get the point. Like with my little ones, I would keep it so simple. I'd maybe just have a home button, and I'm going to show you how you can still get them other places. Did you have a question?
I don't know where you're at.
Okay. You don't have anything in your, you didn't build a new course. That's why. Let me help you do that really fast. Thank you, Madeline. You guys are my guinea pigs on this particular presentation. That was a big problem, wasn't it? Thank you for telling me. Okay, let me get you where I am just so you can start playing around. So if you are on your dashboard, are you there? Do you have dashboard? Yes. Okay, good. And if you'll go over to the right, do you see the button to start a new course? There you go. You can call it whatever you want. If you want it to have a long name, I recommend smushing everything together just because of the way it displays. So I'm going to call this not a course. Okay. Chorus. Not a chorus. There you go. Don't touch anything else. Should we touch anything else? We should not. Okay. And then blue button. Okay. Now you should have buttons over there, Madeline. Okay. So you'll get my resources as a separate course, but you can play around with this one as much as you want. So I was back in the word settings. Under settings, I was in navigation, and then I was just having a good time dragging buttons to the bottom. And you don't have to do all this right now. You may not even know what some of these buttons are, but bottom line is anything you don't know what it is or you're not using, parents and students don't need to see. Basically, parent view in Canvas is a looking over the shoulder of the kid. So if the kid can see it, the parent can see most of it too. So you don't want the parent or the student to be overwhelmed, okay? There's one important button you do have to push here, which is the Save button, okay? And I want you to notice something about this overwhelming sidebar. I still have all the buttons. You're like, Suzy, I thought we were getting rid of stuff. You're the teacher. You will always see all the options available. But if you ever want to see what the kids see, there's a magical pair of glasses over here. It's called Student View. And at any time, I can tap into Student View and I can say, hold on. And I can say, oh, they only have a few buttons. There we go. I'm unauthorized for my own course, which is very promising. Okay? So now I can see that students only see a few buttons, okay? I've hidden a lot of the buttons from the students. At the bottom, if it's still pink, you're still in student view, so you just come over here and leave student view, and then you can get back to what you're doing, okay? So that was tip number one. If you're doing Canvas with little ones, limit the sidebar as much as possible, and I do have the directions when you pull my resources for exactly what I just did, okay? The other thought I want to give you is, let's say that you're like, but Suzy, what if I do want to give a quiz later? I do want to use the files button. That's fine. Nothing is set in stone. You saw how quickly I was able to drag those options down and get rid of them. It's just as quick to drag the options back up and turn them back on. So at any time you want to use something with students, you're able to quickly shift and drag and activate those buttons again, okay? What's next? Button, who's got the button? What movie is that? Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Okay, remember? Yes, he's looking for a button. Okay, moving on. So, why do you need buttons? Well, Canvas LMS was originally a college product. And in the last few years, they have hit like bankroll with the K-12 market. But still, some districts that are using it are like, okay, well, I'm told to use Canvas, like our previous district was. They're like, I'm supposed to use Canvas in elementary school. I have no idea what to do with that. So there are really so many options, which are great for high school and college, but there are too many for little ones, as we talked about before. So I want to show you how instead of having this crazy navigation system on the left, instead we're going to have clear buttons. It'll have a picture of Seesaw and they go there. It'll have a picture of My Assignments and they go there. I'm going to show you how to make buttons really quickly. And the symbols are also going to help your kids, especially kindergarten first, or those ELLs, struggling readers that can't even read what the navigation bar says anyway. They can recognize that picture symbol, okay?
I have a quick question.
Of course.
So is this kind of replacing Google Classroom?
Well, the Google Classroom is more what I would call like an LMS Lite, and I do use it at one of my schools. It cannot do everything Canvas can do. So, but as I do want to make sure I say this more than one time. If you have another kind of place where your kids go, so Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, any of the bigger LMSs, you can still apply some of these principles. So we're going to talk about how to do buttons as images and things like that. But if we want to specifically look at Google Classroom, reach out to me later for sure. So I want to give you a website. I did not spell this. The English teacher in me really wants to change that, but it's called The Button Factory, okay? I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to click that link, The Button Factory. And it's going to open up over here and it's going to allow me to make buttons that say whatever I want and are whatever color I want, okay? Now, there are two schools of thought here. Now, I wasn't an elementary teacher and my brother's a graphic designer, so I like all my buttons the same color, one font. But if you're like, no, girl, I love that Comic Sans 15 colors, then I got you. You can do whatever you want to do. So we can make one button together, but then we have to move on. Okay, I usually make people say the Pledge of Allegiance to move on when ready, but we're just going to do one button, okay? So if you're playing along on the Button Factory, you can make a button that says whatever you want it to say. Suzy's annoying. Why did I come here? I'm in the basement. I don't care what it says. So I want to know, what's one thing that your students have to access a lot without me going back to Mentimeter? Somebody shout it out.
Seesaw.
Seesaw, love it. So I'm going to make a button that just says Seesaw. And it doesn't look like anything changed, but if I click over here next to the button preview, you see that it did change. Okay, then I can change the font, and I'm a fan of, I think it was, I don't remember, Caviar, I think is the one I like. Okay, and then over to the right, we're not going to get into 50 options. We're not going to spend the whole class working on a button. That would be a very disappointing session. What did we do? We built a button, okay? So some of you will be way over in this rabbit hole for a while, but if you can come back with me, okay? And then over to the right, I just want to give you one tip. If you try to make a gradient, it's going to take way more time than what you have, and teachers don't have time, am I right? Yes. So I'm just going to change this to unicolored, and then I only have to pick one color. Okay, my life is easier. So I can make a coral button or whatever, peachy, whatever that is. I'm going to show you what to do with that button in just a minute, but I want to show you that buttons are going to be the way we want little kids to navigate Canvas, not that crazy sidebar. Turn everything off on the sidebar, use buttons instead. This is now a button that I can just literally copy and paste anywhere and link it as appropriate. We're going to do some linking together in just a minute because I want to show you different things you can link kids to within Canvas. Okay? I'm going to go back to my outline, and we're going to go to a very ugly unfinished homepage. It is unfinished on purpose because I want to show you 3 different ways you can link in Canvas. So, okay, I want you to pretend that these are lined up. They made me want to cuss, and I'm not really a cusser. I just felt the feeling, okay? So I know that that looks terrible and out of line, and I messed with it 3 times, and then I had to say, Susie, move on, okay? I'm not ADD. I mean, I'm not OCD. I wear a yellow jacket, for goodness sake. So, okay? But I'm going to show you how some things that you might need students to commonly access, like, okay, they want to go look at sight word lists all the time, or I want them to go here. I'm going to show you a thing called modules in a minute, where I can link them directly to the current assignments. Or I need them to link to Brain Pop or Seesaw or ABC. Or I want to have a parent button. Again, we're making it easy for parents too. They might have 46 children and they're trying to navigate everything. Let's bless them by putting a button that just says, parents, click here. I think they would be appreciative of that, okay? So I'm going to pretend, I'm going to take this Seesaw button that I made just a minute ago. I'm going to come and I'm going to right click it. It just says copy image. I'm going to come back to my home page, and I know that button's not the right color. We're moving on, okay? I'm going to click the word edit. And then instead of just putting it on the page, I highly recommend a table, okay? I'm not going to insult your intelligence by going into all the details of tables, but you'll see a table button there that you can mess with and add rows and all that kind of jazz, okay? So in my table, I previously just had the word Seesaw. I'm going to replace that with the Seesaw button. And then let me show you how you could actually link that to a website. And then again, I'm going to show you how you can link to other things as well. So outside link is the most obvious one to do. When I click on any button in Seesaw, it's going to turn blue. Even if it's a blue button, it will get bluer. So do you see how it's got boxes around it and it's clickable? I now just come up to the top. There's a little link icon, and I can make that go. I think it's just seesaw.me. We're not going to worry about if it works right now. We're just playing. But when I click insert link, if you see a blank, you have a link. Okay? Did you see it kind of blink at you yellow? If you missed it, you can try it. But if you see it blank, you have a link. That's my little trick I would tell teachers all the time. Okay? So it's very easy to link to an outside web page, and you're like, womp, womp, that was boring. But let me show you some other things you might want to link to. Okay? I'm going to get into modules more in a minute, but modules are basically the folders of Canvas. I know in Google Classroom they're called topics. In Microsoft Teams you might have a tab in OneNote. I'm trying to speak all the different languages I know, but any place where you have collated resources that you want them to work on this day, this week, or for this topic. In Canvas, the word for that is just a module. We'll get more into that in just a minute. So let's just say that my parent resources are all in one module. I'm going to have a button there. I don't right now. Let's pretend it's a button. I'm going to highlight that button, and then over to the right, these are all the other things you can link to in Canvas. I can link to a module, and in this particular one, I'm going to link to the Storing Resources for Littles module. Okay, that's where all my parent stuff goes, and you saw it blink. It blinks at you yellow to let you know the link is working. Okay. If I wanted to link, maybe their assignments are also in a module, I could link to that one, okay? Again, the button is just really a picture. So if I wanted to put the seesaw icon there, I can make that a link, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, questions on that? So you can link to a lot of things on the sidebar or up above, okay? One more thing I wanted to show you is actually a little hack, and the directions for this are in my resources when you get them. So let's talk about modules. In Canvas, modules are the organizational structure. We talked about that, how they're like a folder. But what else I like about them is I'm actually driving this presentation right now through modules. I have these really easy buttons at the bottom that say next or previous. Kids don't necessarily know where to go unless you tell them. So if you would put all their weekly work or all of this certain topic, we're teaching about third grade, well, we're not doing third grade, second grade, early Georgians is what we just did. Do y'all do like state history in second grade? Is that a thing? Okay, tell me something from second grade. So I don't sound like an idiot. Any second grade teachers?
Life science.
Life science. So I have something like, you mean like life cycles and things? Is that part of it?
The habitats.
Habitats, love it. Yes, I'm about to do habitats with first grade in Georgia. So I have a folder on habitats, and the kids are like, okay, where do I go? If you can get them to the module with a button, then they can just click next, 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 okay? So they're like folders, and they can be published or unpublished as needed. Okay, there'll be a little publish button or an unpublish. I'll show that to you. Let me show that to you now so I don't forget. Okay, my modules are what I'm in right now. This whole course is organized in folders. I'm talking now about how Canvas is a one-stop shop. I'm going to be getting into some other things. So if I only wanted my students, maybe I'm a work ahead kind of girl. I'm not, okay? But maybe you're someone who's like, I've been teaching second grade for 35 years and I have everything laid out day by day. Then you could, if you wanted, build modules and say they're not ready for habitats yet. Maybe it's still August, we're working on something else. Then I can just come over here to the top. Do you see this little green check mark? I can ungreen it, okay? And what that means is that it's ready for me, it's not ready for them to see. And all I have to unpublish is the title, and it hides everything underneath it, okay? So on the converse side of that, if your students say, I can't see the module, you might have green checks everywhere. You have to make sure that that's published, okay? So you can build as far ahead as you want, and then you can hide things from kids until you're ready for them to see them. So I'm in the middle of modules right now. We just passed this, and we're on my second module. This is what you're going to see when you go into my resources later, okay? Bless you. So they allow you to publish and unpublish, and every piece of what you want to add for kids to access, okay? Assignments, pages, discussions, and I'm going to give you ideas for a lot of these. I can't wait. Okay, I have too much to share. I'm going to go, but you'll have all of it. It's going to be downloadable and usable this week, okay? So you can take all of these separate, disparate pieces that you use, and you can put them in one folder for kids to find them, okay? I think anytime we can simplify, it's going to be the best solution we possibly have. With elementary, it might be a great goal for you guys to divvy up different topics you do and create almost like a self-paced center. You know why? Because there's going to be Towne, that kid who clicks the wrong button. You're going to be my favorite Towne. Is that okay to pick on? So Towne who clicks the wrong button, and you're like, oh, Towne needs my help. Maybe Tony's the most gifted kid in the class, and I'm always having to cater to everybody else's own level. I actually need to work with Towne on something. Well, I can't clone myself. Even if you have a parapro, they're busy with the screaming child in the corner, you know, the one-on-one parapro situation. So you have nobody to help you, and the principal's probably going to walk in any minute. So if you want to buy yourself some time, it would be a good goal to just every once in a while create a module that's a self-paced center. And yes, little ones can do that. Can they do it day one? No. Okay, they cannot do it day one. But if you build in the training for how do we get there today, all we're doing is getting there, then they're going to be able to be empowered to do even like a self-paced center. And they walk through until they see the button that says, wait for it. Not that one, I'm coming back to it. I want you guys to see the button I'm talking about. Yes. I would put a really obvious something that says stop at the end of the module. Would you believe I usually train teachers, and even teachers would be like 55 pages ahead of me. They're like, oh, I didn't know where it says to stop. I'm like, you didn't see that big thing that says the end? They did not. So maybe a red stop sign would be a good thing to add. You just add a page in your module, and if you're like, Suzy, I've never seen Canvas before. This is way over my head. Guess what? I actually have how-to videos from the beginning that I will share with you totally. I was going to say for free. Well, duh. I mean, there's not going to be a cost. But if I'm talking over your head with Canvas right now, I will get you started from the beginning all the way through. Okay, hang with me. But I like adding this page at the end because it lets the kids know, oh, I've accomplished my task. I'm going to stop right here and ask the teacher what to do. So that self-paced center, have a stopping point, again, with a big red stop sign or something that indicates for them. So here are some ideas for modules for little ones. We just talked about using it as a self-paced center. What about a parent resource folder? What are the documents that your parents ask you for all the time? They want to know when the birthdays are. They want to be able to contact with permission. You know, you have a list of who wants to be included in the parent directory. You can add that. PTA sign-up info. You could have volunteer, whatever. You can have a module, and guess what? We'll link it from that parent button on the home page. We'll get them straight there. And everything parents need to know, again, one-stop shop, okay? You could have different units that are there. Like, for example, your kids are going to have to know are there 220 Dolch words? 220? Did I make that number up? I'm going to guess. 220. Nobody's arguing with me. 200 and something. You could have all your Dolch words grouped, and you could have that in a module. Something that, do what now? fry words, and I was about to say in Texas, that's where I was last. Okay, so in Washington, fry words. Okay, so all those sight words, you could have those grouped, or you have a group of links that you know they're going to need for a particular activity, or whatever it is that you feel like they might need. So here's some module tips. You're able to drag and drop modules. Let me show you that. So if I come over here, I really don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it just for you. If I hover over the dots, that is a draggy handle. That's the technical term, okay? So I'm going to take my draggy handle, and I'm going to bump it up to the top, and so now that module is the very first one I want them to see. So that's a tip if you are going to use modules and you're not directly linking from a button, drag it to the top. I'm going to put it back where it was because that's going to make me unhappy. You make me so very unhappy. Okay, here we go. Get back to where I was. I told you already you can publish and unpublish as needed. I just showed you how to do that. And again, you're going to use some indicator that says stop. It could say red stop sign, go come see the teacher. Okay, there's the end. And I include in there how to grab that if you think he's cute, because I think he is. He's like a little puffball flying through space. Okay, now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty on all the assignments that I have to share with you for Canvas. Then we're going to transition into Office 365 time. I'm going to make the connection there. But some of the resources you can load in whatever platform it is you use. They're not Canvas specific, okay? So I had a really cute picture here. It is not displaying, but it looks like a birthday announcement. Go with me. Imagine in your mind, okay? Here's one thing you can do really cool in, it'll impress your principals, it'll impress your parents, and it'll make your students really happy, okay? In Canvas, there is a feature called announcements. Now you're going to notice mine's grayed out, which looks like you can't click it. You're the teacher. You can click any of the buttons anytime you want, okay? Gray just means either that button is inactive, that was a bad word. The button is deactivated at the moment, or there's no content in it. So right now I've never made an announcement. But if I click on announcements, here's what you can do to impress everybody. You can make birthday announcements, and you go ahead and schedule them on one day. It's going to take you like 30 minutes, one day at the beginning of the year. Happy birthday, Kim and Madeline and Rachel. Okay. And maybe their birthday's coming in December. I can go ahead, I can say plus announcement. I can put a cute little picture in there, which I'm going to give you one you can steal. If you're like, I'm about good enough is good enough, then I've got one you can just take and change the names, okay? I can put a picture in here. I can say September birthdays. Yay, A with an S. Okay, I can say whatever I'm going to say. Blah, 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 happy birthday to these 3 people. And then down below, this is amazing. See where it says delay posting? Oh, yeah, okay. I can delay posting that till September 1st, and everybody thinks that I'm an on top of it teacher. Yes? Are you about impressing people? I'm like, if you're going to come in my room, I'm going to have to do something to impress you. So here it is, okay? So that will make parents feel like, oh my gosh, they acknowledge my kid. Now you will have to go back in. You got new kids coming in. Remember to celebrate that kid's birthday. That could be a snafu, okay? I'll warn you about that one. But you can delay and you can post announcements. Another thing is when my teachers were saying, none of my parents visit Canvas. They don't give a rip. Or say, none of my parents visit Google Classroom. None of my parents visit Teams. Well, here's the hack. You tell parents, you're like, I'm going to be featuring a child every week, but you will only see that child featured if you log on to our learning management system. Oh, yes. They will log on to see sweet Aaron talk about his sight words. You know, he's going to read, today I'm going to be making the morning announcements. Okay, they will tune in, and even if it's not their kid, they're going to keep watching because kid will go home and Aaron will say, oh my gosh, Mom, I was featured today. Did you see it? She's like, of course I did. She didn't. She signs up and she comes and checks your learning management system, okay? So for announcements, set up birthday announcements and also have the kids, there's a little video tool here. We don't have time to go into everything Canvas does, but there's a video tool and kids can make a video, record it right into Canvas, and you can send that to parents as well. Sound good? So let's get into quickly, like in 3 minutes or less, I'm going to show you all the sample activities I have that kids can do directly in Canvas. Then we're going to transition into files you can load into Canvas or into your learning management system that are more Office 365 based, okay? So one of them that they can do is a reader response. Are you guys following Storyline Online? Okay, Storyline Online has all these celebrities that read children's books, okay? So we have the Rainbow Fish. And here's my tip. This was a kindergarten idea that some teachers came up with, and we were thinking we would have snow days, which in Georgia, we don't always get them. When we do, it's like this much, and we still don't go to school, okay? But when we were coming up with ideas for that digital learning day, some kindergarten teachers helped me come up with this. And the tip is, I told you that you can record video in here. You can record audio. So little kids can't read those directions. So here's what I did.
Watch this video of the rainbow fish. After watching,
I'm not listening to myself read all those directions, okay? It's painful enough that I'm talking to you, but anyway, it's going to read them the directions. They can watch the video, and then the kids, it even tells them how they can answer. So the kids would have a little text box down here, and they can write the answer to the question, which was, who are the characters, okay? What else can you do directly in Canvas, okay? For math, they were trying to come up with one activity for each subject to send home with kids. So this one was, they get a math problem and they're going to go down and push reply and they're going to type the number sentence in the box. Okay, you're going to have all of these usable, downloadable. Okay, so I'm just kind of running through them. The parts of a plant, would you rather? Would you rather be the stem or the roots of the plant? Okay, so the kids, we told them they could type or record. Again, they can come down. I don't have it set up right now. But when they push reply, there's a little recorder in there that they could come in and say, oh, I'd rather be the roots because I like to go deep. You'll have one kindergarten kid that's like probably a gifted kid undiscovered at this moment that'll say something funny. So first grade ideas, first grade teachers came up with these. They had the kids from their house, because again, these were things we were planning for them to do at home. Walk around your house and look for items that have one of our digraphs. I'm like, do first graders know that word? Oh yeah, they knew it, okay? So find words that start with wa and the and cha, whatever, and find those. And then they were going to come down and record or type, okay? Decoding words, I actually took Office Forms. Anybody using Forms, Microsoft Forms, or Google Form? Okay, I'm just kidding. I've taught Microsoft a lot more, but I like Google, okay. Okay, so anyway, you can take a Google or an Office form and embed it, okay? And so these kids were decoding words. So like we gave them a picture of a bus, but they had to decide if that was a bus, a bun, or a bit. So they're not just guessing. Oh, it starts with a B, okay? Are some of these inspiring a little spark? Okay, good. You can give me an amen anytime. Shapes. So second grade came up with these, a shape scavenger hunt. So they had kids walking around and looking for 3D shapes. And again, writing in the box. Discussions, all of these are set up just as discussions in Canvas. It's a little thing where it gives them a box and they can write things back, okay? What else did we do in second grade? Oh, and do I have any specials teachers in the room? Okay, later on, if you'll remind me, I have specials ideas that I want to share too. I just didn't put them in here because I didn't know how many we'd have. Even if you're like PE teachers, art teachers, I've got stuff for you. Music, okay? This is another storyline online, but for second grade, they had them do the 5 W's and H, okay? And then this is my particular favorite. Would you rather be a pine tree in the fall or the spring? And then I think this was the last one that they had. Read a good book for 20 minutes and then tell me 5 things you enjoyed. It does not have to be something that takes you 50 years to plan. It doesn't have to take you any time to plan if you go to the Commons and steal these ideas, okay? You'll get this whole thing ready to pull out whatever you want.
Hey guys, I put my heart into these videos, so I hope you loved it. I hope you've loved all of them, but if you haven't, then make sure you go back and watch the previous videos. I'm making playlists for you all the time. So if you're somebody who wants time savers, there's a playlist for that. If you want to gamify, playlist for that. And all of my themes of my blog. So, did you like it? Go ahead and click the thumb below. If you really liked it, I'd love if you shared it on your favorite social media channel. I'm at Suzy Lolley on Twitter. And then finally, my very favorite is if you subscribe. Subscribe to YouTube and subscribe on the blog. Take care.